Republicans, on the other hand, not letting a good crisis go to waste, basically serving the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour over and over again. Here is Benny Boy.
In modern American history, one of the darkest moments of my lifetime.
You think this was one of the darkest moments in American history? 9/11. Like, what are you talking about? There are literally more tragic shootings of American political figures in Ben Shapiro's lifetime. It's not even in the top 10. Donald Trump being grazed with a bullet on his ear does not even reach the top 10 worst political moments in the last 10 years of American history. There are mass shootings and natural disasters that have taken place in the last decade that are infinitely worse than what just took place yesterday.
Of an assassination attempt, and only thanks to the absolute grace of God is Donald Trump still alive. I found about this on Shabbat. It was Shabbat over where I am in Los Angeles. I was here to do Bill Maher's show, and my security came and told me what was happening. Obviously, I was just as shocked and appalled as everyone else. And this is indeed the end result of a temperature.
Am I to believe that Benny doesn't have a Shabbos goy? Like, I don't understand. Like, he's describing that his Christian security came and told him anyway. Why you got to bring that up?
This is an increase in rhetorical temperature pushed by the radical left, unfortunately, by the media, by the president of the United States, that has raised the temperature radically. Only the shooter is responsible for the shooting. But if you increase the temperature over and over and over again by saying the former president of the United States, current frontrunner.
Yeah, you're right. People should not directly call out the former president for saying Hitlerian. Thank you, Ben. We should just stop. Ben Shapiro has personally inspired literal acts of terror, not just in the United States of America, but in Canada, dude. What was it? Was it in Quebec? The dude who like killed a bunch of Muslims, like he straight up said, I got radicalized by Ben Shapiro. It is wild. I didn't cite mosque shooter. Conservative pundit Ben Shapiro insists the evil piece of human crap happened to be somebody who had seen some of my tweets. Ben Shapiro said of Quebec mosque shooter Alexander Bisonet. How many right-wing terrorists, mass shooters, directly name right-wing political pundits in their manifestos, dude? It's so funny because these guys who spend every day being like, stochastic terror isn't real, stochastic terror isn't real, are now turning around and being like, stochastic terrorism is real, and the only time it happens is when Democrats say Trump is Mango Mussolini. Stochastic terrorism isn't real when right-wing freaks professionally talk about how migrants and non-white people need to be murdered on a daily basis, and then one of their fans with a insane attitude and immediate access to guns takes action, writes a manifesto, directly drops references to these guys in the manifesto, references their ideology in the manifesto, basically giving like a perfect narrative that it's like, I watched these guys, I learned from them, and now I'm acting out on their desires. And it's like, whoa, 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 that's fake. That's fake. They're probably lying. It's probably a psyop. But yeah, dude, Joe Biden saying Medicare was the reason why this dude went and wanted to kill Donald Trump. Not because he was president for the past 4 years, not because of any number of insane that he's personally said, not because of ease of access to weapons, not because he might have been a weirdo right-winger who might have been even more far-right than Donald Trump, as it has happened with the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. The guy who shot up the synagogue in Pittsburgh literally was a Trump supporter who became even more far-right. He was like, yeah, I was a Trump supporter, but like, you know, I realized that it's the Jews that are responsible for immigration, and Trump wasn't doing anything about it, so I had to take matters into my own hands. This is 100% real. This is literally what the Pittsburgh synagogue shooter straight up said. He was a registered voter for Trump. He was a big Trump supporter, big fan of Donald Trump. I hear what he's saying, the great replacement narratives. I hear what he's saying about immigrants coming over in these caravans. You can't boil a whole political party down to a few people. That goes both ways. Yes, you're absolutely correct about this. But I can look at a ideology, and right-wing ideology almost always violent, okay? Reactionary ideology puts the crosshairs on marginalized people as a part of its own like political messaging. They can try and reframe it in a context that suits civility purposes. You can talk about how, yes, black people must be shot by the police in a disproportionate rate because Black people are violent. They have a violent culture. Some people will say black people are inherently violent because they're, racially inferior. Other people will say, oh, I would never say black people are racially inferior. I'm just saying they're culturally inferior. And that's why they're too violent. And that's why the police has to kill them disproportionately. But ultimately, both of those arguments are still immediately reactionary and absolutely violent, whether you say it civilly or not. Do you get it?
It is footage of an assassination attempt. It's going to be some of the most iconic footage in American history. This whole incident is an astonishing incident. The hand of God, there's no way, honestly, I don't have another way to put this. The hand of God is protecting President Trump here.
I love that. I love when they say that. Yeah. God bent the bullet directly in the direction of this Trump supporter. That's so funny. God bent the bullet to the brain of his peasant supporter and not the son of God himself.
There is no way that he should survive what just happened here. Was extremely close to President Trump. We'll talk about the Secret Service failures in just one moment, but the shooter was extremely close. He was on a very nearby building to President Trump. He was using apparently an AR-15, which is in fact a rifle. So he had a rifle that is certainly well within range of killing the president. President Trump in the ear in this video. If you play this video in slow motion, you will see.
I don't get it. Guns don't kill people. Why is he even bringing up the AR-15 stuff? Like, what's going on?
The attempted assassination is one of the most predictable things to happen in American public life in my lifetime. It is simultaneously one of the most shocking and one of the most predictable. Shocking, but not surprising, because the temperature has been turned up so high for so long. His political opponents have defined him as literally Hitler. And when you keep saying your political opposition is literally Hitler.
Ben Shapiro has called college campus protesters literally Hitler. English majors in Columbia. Like, you cannot be doing this right now. This is laughable. Okay? Donald Trump's politics are straight up Hitlerian. When a dude says immigrants are poisoning the blood of America, of this wonderful nation, that's Hitler. Just because you, Ben, agree with him doesn't change that reality.
To take America into a new dark age, when you say that and over again, you are turning up the temperature. It's how you get congressional baseball shootings. It is how you get attempted assassination attempts on Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And it's how you get what happened yesterday in Butler, Pennsylvania.
The reason why he's trying to say that, by the way, is because this is the funniest says you moment for Ben Shapiro. That's precisely the reason why he has to be like, oh, it's only the shooter that's responsible. Nobody else. So many other shooters have quite literally put Ben Shapiro in his manifestos, named him as an influence. In the words of Chappell Roan, the right-wing pundit's favorite pundit, okay? As far as right-wing terrorist goes, he's the right-wing terrorist's favorite right-wing terrorist. So that's the reason why he has to be like, this is just a shooter alone. But also the Democrats are really, really, really beefing up the rhetoric, which is so funny. The Democrats are raising the temperature, dude, and not Republicans. Donald Trump's, one of his campaign promises is the deportation, the mass deportation of 20 million people. That's insane.
When you keep turning up the temperature, when you keep saying that America is going to be literally destroyed, this will be the last election, Donald Trump is the worst person who has ever lived and he must be stopped.
Has also personally said, if I'm not elected, America will be destroyed. Donald Trump said America has been destroyed. Donald Trump has said everything that Joe Biden has said times a million. If there's one person that has said that the most, it's Donald Trump. It's normal things to say, by the way. You're just campaigning. That's it. Like, oh, if I'm not elected, America will be destroyed. Yeah, of course, that's what you're trying to win. That's what people say when they're trying to win.
I don't mention the names of shooters, but this is a presidential assassin, so I'm going to make an exception here. The FBI has identified 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as the suspect in the attempted assassination. They didn't have any ID on him. They had to use biometric markers in order to figure out who he was. They went to his home last night and they checked it out. They raided it. They brought stuff out. According to state voter records, he was a registered Republican. This would have been the first election in which he could have voted because he was only 20 years old. However, when he was 17...
I wonder if he'll bring up that he's a registered Republican. He's going to be like, in 2017...
$15 donation to Act Blue, which is a political action committee that raises money for left-leaning and Democratic politicians, according to a 2021 Federal Election Commission filing. That donation was earmarked for the Progressive Turnout Project, a national group that rallies Democrats to vote.
He barely brings it up. He just says, he's a registered Republican, but he's never voted. This would have been the first time he would have voted. Also, he made a donation for $15.
He was 53, told CNN he was still trying to figure out what happened and would wait until he spoke to law enforcement before speaking about his son.
He also brings it up before he brings up the donation. When the timeline is when he's 17, he makes a $15 donation during the inauguration, and then he registers as a Republican.
In terms of what actually happened, there are obviously many, many witnesses. So we're going to break this into two parts. There are the witnesses to the actual shooting and the aftermath, and then there are the witnesses who saw the shooter up on the roof, and Secret Service obviously reacted late on this. So here is Pennsylvania State House candidate Rico Elmore, who was present and explains what he saw as this went down.
I yelled, everyone to get down. Everybody was getting down. Everybody was yelling, get down. I told people to get down.
Okay. Come on. Get to the good stuff. Like about how it's a woman that was
Ronald Reagan.
him.
That nearly ended with Ronald Reagan's death and ended with the severe wounding of his press aide, Jim Brady. It is an insane incident. It's total. I mean, again, disturbing at every possible level it is possible to be disturbed. We have seen an increase in political violence in this country over the course of the last 5 years, truly touching off with the riots of 2020.
Foos did not recall Crooks making political overtures in class, but rather, this is from the Philadelphia Inquirer, but rather someone as interested in how government works and not trying to insert his own beliefs into it. Another former classmate did not share his view. Max R. Smith recalled taking an American history course with Crooks as a sophomore. He did recall Crooks making political statements, but they shed no light on his actions Saturday. He definitely was conservative, he said. He makes me wonder why he would carry out an assassination attempt on a conservative candidate. Smith recalled a mock debate in which their professor of history posed the government policy questions and asked students to stand on one side of the classroom or the other to signal their support or opposition for a proposal. The majority of the class were on the liberal side, but Tom, no matter what, always stood his ground on the conservative side, Smith said. That's still the picture I have of him, just standing alone on one side while the rest of the class was on the other. I mean, dude, he's literally wearing like Mount Rushmore superimposed over a American flag on his t-shirt, like on his t-shirt in his goddamn school photo. Like, he chose to wear this shirt. This is my first time watching the stream. What are your thoughts on showing pictures of people that commit crimes like this on the news? This will be in history books, brother. This is a dude who tried to kill the former president, currently running for president again. It's a little bit different, you know? We should probably not glorify this dude. I don't think we're glorifying this dude, that we are trying to understand his motives when hella people are just lying about his background. It's like saying we shouldn't talk about John Wilkes Booth. Stop platforming John Wilkes Booth, please. You think when his Twitch username gets leaked, there's a chance he follows you? Absolutely. 100%. Do you know how many Nazis follow me, dude? Do you think that's because I myself have similar opinions to them? Or do you think they stalk my entire life because they love sending me the most personalized death threats they possibly could? If he was as online as to have a Twitch account and followed me, I would not be shocked by that at all. I have a ton of far-right active hater stalkers.
Because if you see an overhead map, there's a building that is extremely close. We're talking like 150 meters maybe. Very, very close to the actual stage where President Trump was shot. How in the world did Secret Service not catch this? There are two questions. One is, why didn't they react faster when they saw the shooter? Because it turns out there were a lot of people who saw the shooter.
3 letters, DEI.
The Secret Service protocol requires a counter sniper aware of a potential shooter to radio directly to Intel Division team to respond and investigate. In this case, the investigation may have been cut short by the shooter firing his weapon, so the counter sniper then fired as quickly as possible in return. The source praised the counter sniper who acquired the target and responded within 3 seconds, calling their performance incredible.
Ben Shapiro's like, shoot everyone on sight. What does he think? Who does he think is going to get killed at a Trump rally if they are, I don't know, carrying a telescope? People that don't have a gun on them at the Trump rally, that simply have like cameras on them or a telescope, are going to be somehow secret Democrats? I mean, sure, dude. I think so too. Everyone should be murked. Do we know how he got the gun? Yes, of course. It's Western Pennsylvania. His father legally obtained the firearm from a gun shop.
This was only exacerbated by footage of some of the agents afterwards. So as you could even see in the original footage of the attempted assassination of President Trump, many of the people who are attempting to jump on him and cover him are people who are shorter and smaller than President Trump, which is a disaster area. You know, I travel with private security. I am not President Trump. I get some threats. I am not President Trump. My security, they are bigger and stronger than I am. That's why they're security. If you can't shield President Trump with your body, what are you even doing in this job? This particular video has gone viral, as well it should.
Well, to be fair, Donald Trump was 6'3". You're a manlet. You're 5'4". So it's not that hard to find people that are larger than you. Many women adequately shield you with their bodies. Also, on Secret Service security detail across the board, not every single person is larger than the actual person that they're covering. Just so you guys understand. That's not how that works. There are spotters as well. They are throwing bodies at the problem, if you will. There are plenty of people on his Secret Service detail that are going to be shorter than him. Those guys have a different position.
Climbing into travel vehicle here. And as you'll see, there are 2 Secret Service agents standing by the car. Both of them are female. Both of them do not look like they are in particularly good shape. One of them is fumbling around to reholster her weapon, as though she doesn't know how to reholster a weapon. It looks like something out of Reno 911. Here is some of the footage.
Yeah, also, Secret Service is letting his head present significantly above the crowd there. And those are the men leading him. So it's not like the women are responsible. Like, he's the one who got up and was like, oh, yeah.
Here she is. She's trying to figure out what to do. She reaches in. She's trying to reholster her weapon. She can't find the holster. She's not sure. Like, this, of course, is raising some fairly serious questions about what in the hell.
Dude, this is my favorite guy. I can't believe they censored him. He's just flipping off the media going, F you, media. You're responsible. I love that guy.
Is Secret Service staffing? How in the hell are they staffing this thing? Perhaps one of the explanations for how you end up with Secret Service agents who don't know how to reholster a weapon, that they have been actively attempting to DEI the entire secret.
Yes! He said it! He said it! Yo, these dumbass broads in Secret Service. Yes! That's my dude. Let's go. Let's go. DEI Secret Service. They're all gay. They're all women. They're putting lesbian women in Secret Service. It's up. Men only. Sexy men. Broad shoulders. Big dicks. Going forward. Do you understand me?
And it turns out when you lower standards in order to achieve particular quotas, the quality goes down. There's a...
Conservatives are so awesome on their messaging discipline. When they hammer in on a narrative, like when they laser focus on a narrative, their conviction is so sharp. If DEI was the prevailing narrative in like World War II, Hitler's doing DEI. Japan is doing DEI. That's why we had to do Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It reminds me of that time when abortion was being talked about. It was the issue of debate. People were claiming that, you know, abortion is murder, as one does, as you guys know. And dumbass Marjorie Taylor Greene said cancel culture when talking about abortion is like cancel culture for a baby. She was so lasered on using cancel culture as a substitute for every word that she said, you're canceling, Democrats are canceling the baby. Cancel culture, a crime worse than murder. Yeah, that guy that flicked off the media at the rally.
This is your fault.
Yeah, most normal Pittsburgh fan.
This is your fault. Every last one. This is your fault.
Meanwhile, the guys up there are like with right side broadcasting. They're like, what do you mean? Sir, I'm with Epoch Times. Sir, I'm with OAN, One America News. What are you saying?
That we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
I'm sorry, that is not the goal of the Secret Service. And once again, the peculiar oddity of diversity, equity, and inclusion in which it matters.
Taking these sorts of statements seriously, like liberals do this for marketing, and it's still deeply unserious. They're not going to go for like just women. They're going to go for whoever's the most qualified. And Republicans are on the other side of this argument where they also take it seriously and they're like, no, they're going to only hire women, and that's bad. Secret Service has had many ups throughout, much worse as a matter of fact, including with JFK. And I don't think they were tasked with hiring as many women as possible in the way that Ben is presenting.
And this country is forever changed in radical and insane ways.
I feel like if he had died, if he got shot in the head and died, I think Republicans would have gone crazier than they are going now. Like right now, they're simply posturing for revenge, and there might be some attempts. But if they actually clapped him, dude, holy shit.
Faith and defiance in the face of wickedness. Our love goes out to other victims and their families. We pray for the recovery of those who were wounded and hold in our hearts the memory of the citizen who was so horribly killed.
They said their goal was 30% in 5 years. Doesn't that imply some male candidates won't get the job despite more qualified because they fill the 30%? No, man, that's just simply a target that doesn't always mean that they're going to fulfill that target, okay? It's marketing. It is marketing, implying in this hypothetical scenario that there are more qualified people operating under the underlying assumption that like women are across the board incapable of fulfilling this role. By the way, this role that like doesn't always have to be, you know, a body in front of the president, because that's not all Secret Service does. As a matter of fact, for those of you who don't know, I don't know why Ben Shapiro's not talking about this. He's supposed to be this big nerd. Secret Service isn't just tasked with protecting the president and the president's families, okay? Beyond the immediate combat positions that you have, Secret Service also protects money. They are the ones who are actually going after counterfeiters. So when they're talking about like the Secret Service, they could be putting these people in any number of different positions. Not every single person is a doorbuster in the Secret Service, just like, hoorah, the most brawlic dude you've ever seen in your life.
Than ever, that we stand united and show our true character as Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win. I truly love our country. I love you all. I look forward to speaking to our great nation this week from Wisconsin.
Why does the Secret Service need to do marketing as a government position? What do you mean? You think the government doesn't do DEI initiatives for the same exact reasons that like a company does? Everything is marketing. It's to say that they are quote unquote woke. I don't think you understand. Every part of the government and every company still ultimately needs to, fill their ranks. And they try different mechanisms, different methods to be able to fill those ranks. They think representation politics works in that regard.
Again, a beautiful statement from President Trump in response to all of this.
Have you seen the way the military markets? Have you seen a military ad before? The military is the government. Why the f- are they doing marketing? They spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year on that alone.
The first major Democratic politician to respond was not the sitting president of the United States. The first major politician to respond was Barack Obama, who issued a statement to media. I quote, "There's absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy. Although we don't know yet exactly what happened, we should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt and use this moment to recommit ourselves to civility and respect in our politics. Michelle and I are wishing him a quick recovery." President Biden finally made a public statement. He came out, he said it was sick, but he still refused to label it an assassination attempt after it was completely obvious. Remember, he didn't speak until about 8:15, which is past his bedtime. This is 2 hours after the attempted shooting. Everyone knew by this point that there was an assassination attempt. It was on video.
Yeah, he's like, he didn't say it was an assassination attempt. I didn't like the way he said, we have to do a call for unity. This makes me very angry.
The blood was evident on President Trump's face. And here was Joe Biden saying, well, we don't know. We don't know. And then he suggests we have to unify.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot.
It's like, dude, Donald Trump getting grazed in the ear in an attempted assassination doesn't magically put up a shield. And it doesn't magically put up a shield for him in the eyes of the broader public either. There's still going to be plenty of people, myself included, who despise him, who despise his politics, who despise his worldview, who are still going to be honest and open about their, genuine resentment for such a thing, for such a person. Ridiculous that these Republicans only traffic in unimaginably violent narratives, have the gall, the audacity, the indecency to just like sit there and be like, you better not criticize my president. He got shot at. Like, get the f out of here. Suck my okay? Especially when like assassination attempts or genuine violence occurs against Democratic elected representatives or entire populations of people in forms of like mass shootings and whatever. And Republicans immediately rush to either neutralize it by claiming that it was actually a lone wolf that was irrelevant. It was just some random crazy guy, even though the random crazy guy literally wrote a manifesto about why he's doing it. Or even when like Nancy Pelosi's husband was hammered in the brain by David DePipe, they make jokes about it instantly. Like they make jokes about it instantly. So the idea that like these guys have any leg to stand on in this regard is so stupid. The attempt to twist the Paul Pelosi attack into a broader story about supposed extremism in the Republican rhetoric, so vote Dem, is so transparently opportunistic and pathetic. Everyone can see what you're doing, Democrats in the media. Is disgusting. Yes, they should instead keep saying Paul Pelosi was having gay sex with the QAnon Republican guy who wanted to kill Nancy Pelosi. Look at Ben Shapiro. That was in 2022, man.
President Biden called for unity in this moment after this. Of course, he should. He should have all along. Instead, he has run a political campaign for re-election on the basis that Donald Trump is Hitler. If you keep saying your opponent is Hitler, somebody might take you seriously.
Dude, this is so funny. He's literally doing words or violence, dude. Yeah, what are you supposed to do, dude? Yeah, you can't criticize the president. You can't say that, like, his overtly Hitlerian politics are Hitlerian. You can't do that. woke skull, dude. Everyone's a goddamn liberal, okay? Everyone is a goddamn liberal. Republican congressional candidate called Obama a secret terrorist supporting Muslim. Well, to be fair, at least he said secret terrorist supporting Muslim and not, an open terrorist supporting Muslim. Think about that. He could have said that. That's called restraint, sweetie. Look it up in a book.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. History tells us,
and of course,
the blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy.
Why hasn't changed?
For long,
the event
we
doesn't
told
make these things
ourselves that
untrue.
American democracy.
No, he's trying to say that this is like the violent narrative and the violent rhetoric you're hearing from Joseph Robinette Biden that is responsible for why Trump got shot at, which is so funny. Because once again, I have to repeat this over and over again. Ben Shapiro's fans have actually done acts of terrorism against mosques and have directly said they got influenced by Ben Shapiro to do such things. So he's in a very weird place where he can't just like openly say stochastic terrorism is real, but he also simultaneously is trying to say the Democrats are doing stochastic terrorism.
But it's not. We have to defend it, protect it.
So he suggests the answer is vote. But to untrained ears, if someone says this person, Julius Caesar, is a threat to the Senate, if somebody says that this person, Hitler, is a threat to democracy, a threat to the West, a threat to your basic freedoms.
So what do you do when there is a threat to democracy? Like there is.
I mean,
like he literally, what do you do? You're supposed to just be like, oh, you can't say anything. Happening, god damn it.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? What were they supposed to do? Like if somehow the Germans could have seen what happened coming, right, to Hitler, what were they supposed to do? Be like, oh fuck, we can't say anything. What are you supposed to do, Ben?
No, you know what I'm saying.
If
You're
it
not
quacks like a duck,
you're not
it's a f***ing duck. You know what I mean? Like what are you supposed to do? Just ignore all the signs?
You're not supposed to call out Donald Trump being divisive and a fascist. In the future, he will get shot at and survive. But you can't do that. You can't do that before. And now that he got shot, I'm going to use the fact that he got shot at as a reason why you can't do that after.
Yes.
Meanwhile, by the way, Biden isn't even doing that because he's a dumbass. What is Biden doing? The battle box. That's what Biden's doing.
I'm not asking for anybody to get, criticizing somebody, you're not asking them to get shot, okay? You know?
Trump is fundraising off of this. The Republicans are literally going, when Biden says, we beat Medicare, that actually means kill every Republican that's in a position of power. That's what he actually means. He's so divisive with his rhetoric. And the Democrats are the only ones who are like, yeah, we got to do a call for unity. Yeah, we got to do unity. We got to unify the ticket.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Meanwhile, Republican congressmen are saying that Biden did it.
If you say that over and over and over again, why would you possibly be shocked if somebody takes you seriously? Again, only the shooter is responsible for the shooting, but President Biden is responsible for the increase in the temperature in this country to a radical degree. Here is President Biden at Univision interview, April 2024. This is just a couple of months ago.
I'm going to have...
What, in your view, constitutes the primary threat to freedom and democracy at home?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is the primary threat to freedom and democracy at home. So if you remove the threat, then there's no more threat, according to Joe Biden, the current president of the United States. Absolute insanity.
Donald Trump started his campaign by calling Mexicans rapists and
locking Hillary
Clinton up, throwing her in prison. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to feel like we shouldn't be able to be critical.
It's so funny that it's like Biden's statements are always so goddamn measured to a fault. His statements are measured to a fault because he's a pussy, okay? That's how every Democrat is. Unless he's talking about like socialism or something, in which case, or Hamas, or Palestinian babies, okay? He's going to have all the smoke for those categories. But when it comes to like a Republican or Strom Thurmond, for example, who was a segregationist, he's got nice words for those guys always.
The Biden-Harris campaign put out a statement, quote, today's ruling doesn't change the facts.
It's so funny. This supposed constitutional conservative, less mad about the Supreme Court decision that gives God, King, divine powers to the president. He's less mad about that and more mad about like someone dissenting against that and saying, here are some of the things that would be considered within the purview of an official presidential act. And the prosecution of said acts has now been made significantly harder, if not impossible, to prosecute as a consequence of the Supreme Court decision.
Be very clear about what happened. January 6th, Donald Trump snapped after he lost the 2020 election and encouraged a mob to overthrow the results of a free and fair election. Trump is already running for president as a convicted felon for the very same reason he sat idly by while the mob violently attacked the Capitol. He thinks he's above the law and is willing to do anything to gain and hold on to power for himself. Since January 6th, Trump has only grown more unhinged. He's promising to be a dictator on day one. By the way, that is a lie. What he said is that he would be a dictator for one day, and he was joking, and he was saying it about executive orders on immigration.
Oh, dude, it was just a joke, dude. Oh, dude, my bad. Biden was joking when he said Donald Trump was a dictator. Oh, it's just a silly prank, bro. What the f? You guys are so dumb. Why would you take it seriously, dude? He's just joshing, dude. That's awesome.
Calling for our Constitution.
I like that he also then immediately admitted that he did say that.
And then he went on national television and suggested that if Donald Trump was made president of the United States again, he might kill his political opponents using the power of presidential immunity. He literally said that 2 weeks ago. It doesn't stop. This is the entirety of the Joe Biden campaign because he's got nothing else. The Biden headquarters put out a tweet that Donald Trump's quote unquote Project 2025 America would look like The Handmaid's Tale. They literally took a graphic from The Handmaid's Tale and they tweeted it out. Nun's hat, the Washington Monument turned into a cross, and Biden-Harris headquarters tweeted out 4th of July.
One of the funniest parts of this whole getting mad Sotomayor's dissent, that is literally what Trump's lawyers argued in front of the Supreme Court. Trump's lawyers in front of the Supreme Court, if this decision happens, technically put out a hit on a political rival by bringing forward SEAL Team 6 as an official presidential act. And his lawyer verbatim said, yes, I believe that is possible. So it's not like Sotomayor brought this up out of nowhere. Also, 4th of July under Trump's Project 2025, this in any way, shape, or form, an unacceptable rhetoric. This tweet right here is memeing Donald Trump's and the Republican Party's and Ben Shapiro's really personal interest removing the bodily autonomy of women. That's what this is supposed to signify. We're doing meme review. He's going through little memes and being like, wow, I can't believe it. Also, given the opportunity, I would love for this to happen.
Under Trump's Project 2025, how many times can you say that your political opponent is going to impose a fascist dictatorship before somebody takes you seriously? How many times?
By the way, this analysis completely hinges the registered Republican that attempted to shoot Donald Trump, doing it because he's actually a diehard liberal who is fearful of Trump's authoritarian leanings. We do not know yet. We have no evidence for this. Purely running on Ben Shapiro's opinion, just Ben's feelings, okay? Which is, again, maybe he did say that, okay? Maybe he's like, maybe we're going to find out his motive and it's like, yeah, he's a registered Republican who was wearing a gun YouTuber's shirt and shot at Donald Trump specifically because he somehow decided America's going to be an authoritarian nightmare under his reign or something. Okay, maybe that's the case. I'm not ruling that out. But currently, as it stands, the information that we have about his background from his former classmates saying he was a right-winger, and also the fact that he was a registered Republican, it kind of moves the likelihood of this person being a liberal shooter for Brandon a little in the less likely category.
The lies that they have told about President Trump are insane and disgusting and vile. They've always been insane, disgusting, and vile. President Trump was already president. We know that these are lies, and they keep pushing them. Joe Biden put out an ad on race just a couple of days ago in which he suggested that President Trump hates black people.
Why would a registered Republican try to kill Trump? Dude, I don't know. But that is currently the information that we have about the shooter. Do you understand? They were gay lovers. That's why. I think it's because they were gay lovers. I'm going to take the Paul Pelosi route. I think it's because they had gay sex with one another, okay? And their relationship fell apart.
Raises the temperature. It increases the possibility of free radicals. This has always been true. Here's an ad that Joe Biden just put out. And again, it is just chock filled with lies and the impression that Donald Trump is a racist, bigoted dictator would-be.
Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Of course I hate these people.
Donald Trump disrespecting black folk is nothing new. He was sued for refusing to rent his apartments to black families and called for the execution of...
Everything in this ad is right. Like, this is literally a video of Donald Trump in the ad. The video, I suspect, is going to show the full page ad that he took out in the New York Times. Now, the irony, of course, is Biden himself at the same time frame, had more access to power than Donald Trump as a senator and was directly responsible for the crime bill, which basically took Donald Trump's words and put it to action. But having said that, regardless of that reality, these are things that happened. I think Ben probably thinks the Central Park Five also deserve to die.
Innocent black and brown teenagers.
And it's more than anger, it's hatred.
It's why Trump stood with violent white supremacists, warned of a bloodbath if he loses the next election.
All of these things are true. All of these things are true. He did do that. He did that time and time again.
And if he's president again, vowed to be a dictator who wants revenge on his enemies. Now, who do you think that is?
Of course I hate these people.
Except for the bloodbath thing? Wait, what do you mean? No. He has said if he's not elected, it'll be a bloodbath. What are you talking about? Like, as in, America will fall apart. He did say that. He literally said that. What is happening? I'm no fan of Joe Brandon. Okay, let's go Brandon. But Donald Trump absolutely said those things. He has also said it would be chaos and it would be disorder and a bloodbath time and time again. I know in which context he said it. What Donald Trump is saying there is exactly in the same realm as Joe Biden saying Donald Trump is going to be a dictator. Do you understand?
All of those are lies, and they were promulgated for a political purpose by Joe Biden and by his team. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Gabby Giffords, who is a congresswoman from Arizona, was shot. And the mass shooter, it turns out, was a schizophrenic, crazy person. And the entire media leapt to blame Sarah Palin because Sarah Palin had put up a list of targeted districts where people should put their money. Well, if Sarah Palin can get blamed for that, then explain to me this. How is it that Joe Biden can days ago say, quote, I have one job, that's to beat Donald Trump. I'm absolutely certain I'm the best person to be able to do that. So we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Yeah, I've been told that sort of rhetoric is dangerous. But I guess when it comes to Joe Biden, it's not dangerous. By the way, it is worth noting at this point that it was just a couple of months ago, April 19th, that Democrat Benny Thompson, ranking member of the House Committee on Homeland Security.
I don't remember anyone blaming Sarah Palin for Gabby Giffords. Am I crazy? I don't remember that at all. What is this? When Giffords' opponent held a fundraiser and pitched it as help remove Gabrielle Giffords from office, shoot a fully automatic M16 with Jesse Kelly. Wait, he's talking about this. Dave Weigel, friend of the show. Last year, some Republicans politicians used the Second Amendment references. Remember Sharon Angle and Second Amendment remedies if Harry Reid didn't lose? And revolutionary talk to express how angry they were about the state of their country. They strongly and vehemently rejected the charge from Democrats that they were encouraging an atmosphere of violence, especially in the week after the healthcare vote. When Giffords' opponent held a fundraiser and pitched it as help remove Gabrielle Giffords from office, shoot a fully automatic M16 with Jesse Kelly, Democrats saw the specter of violence and Republicans saw political posturing. Don't you think that's a little bit different than Joe Biden in a private closed-door meeting telling we're going to put Trump in the bullseye to like a bunch of fucking executives? Like, that's insane. I'll be real. If Joe Biden came out and was like, help remove Trump out of office, shoot this M16, that would be a little different. Palin posted a map of vulnerable House members with crosshairs over their districts, including Giffords. The Atlantic's James Fallows writes, we don't know why the killer did what he did. If he's like Sirhan, we'll never understand. But we know that it's been a time of extremely implicitly violent political rhetoric and imagery, including Sarah Pack's famous bullseye map of 20 congressional targets to be removed, including Representative Giffords. It is legitimate to discuss whether there's a connection between that tone and actual outbursts of violence. Also, one thing that we have to remember that Ben Shapiro is expertly moving the needle on is the fact that Republicans do maintain a monopoly on political violence in this country. It is different when a Republican candidate outwardly is telling in televised ads that there are, graphic imagery that spells political violence towards Democratic elected representatives. There is a difference. The problem is Ben Shapiro is not saying Democrats are calling directly for violence. He is trying to make inferences that Democrats are calling for violence and failing to do so, while simultaneously, of course, never talking about the actual overt calls for violence from the Republicans. What is also known as a bad faith argument. To be fair, I don't think the Sarah Palin crosshair is like that is a little baby to point to Sarah Palin and be like she's responsible for it. but that's perhaps the reason why I don't remember this being like all that significant. The other one is crazy though. You know, this one that Dave Weigel brings up, hell remove Gabrielle Giffords from office, shoot a fully automatic M16. That's a little wild. There's a reason why, and I brought this up already. There's a reason why I talked about people trying to claim that it was Bernie Sanders' incisive that caused the congressional baseball shooting to happen. Republicans tried it, but Bernie Sanders had never said anything even remotely violent. Whereas you can find a million different things that Republicans have done that are directly violent, like visual depictions of violence, violence in their narrative, violence in their rhetoric, and violence in their actions and in their legislative agenda.